What's up, Raptors fans? Welcome to the Warriors Report. Yes, it's another Raptors video. The Raptors have been in the news this whole week. There's been draft news. We got news about Ben Simmons yesterday, Pascal Siakam, and today, you know what, I thought I'd take it easy. It's a nice, beautiful day. It's a Sunday, and what do you see? The Raptors are in the news again. We get some news regarding the Raptors and restricted free agent, Jarret Allen. Now, this is not the first time we've heard of the Raptors being interested in him. There's been rumors for several weeks, months now going into free agency that the Raptors will look to pursue Jarret Allen. But for today's video, I'm going to break down how the Raptors can acquire Jarret Allen. We know he's a restricted free agent, what they would give him in terms of money, and how he would fit in with the Raptors. So before we get into the details of the video, you know the drill. Give this video a thumbs up. It helps reach more basketball fans like yourself. And also, guys, 85% of you guys are watching my YouTube videos but do not subscribe, so please hit that subscribe button. It does go a long way in helping this channel grow. I'd be very much appreciative of that. And we also here on this channel, I do give out shout outs to random subscribers as well. So for today's video, the shout out goes out to G. So G, thank you so much for your comments and your likes. It is very much appreciated. Now let's talk about Jarret Allen. We know Jarret Allen has been on all sorts of talks with the Raptors and how they will pursue him. There's been a lot of suggestions as to sign-in trades, but we do need to keep in mind, this is the Cleveland Cavaliers, the same Cleveland Cavaliers who don't want to pay Colin Sexton, which is exactly why they want to move him. So how are the Raptors going to acquire him? We know he's a restricted free agent. Do they have to sign and trade him? Can they just sign him and maybe potentially get the Cleveland Cavaliers to just let him go? I think that's a real possibility. Now you may think, why would the Cleveland Cavaliers let him go? Well, for several reasons. When you take a look at the numbers here, the Cleveland Cavaliers, their salary cap situation, they're sitting they have about $20 million heading into this offseason. So when you take into consideration, they don't even want to pay one of their young stars, Colin Sexton, money. Why would they want to pay Jarret Allen money, especially if they are able to, let's say, if they're able to draft someone like an Evan Mobley? So they have $20 million in cap space, and that is approximately around the money that Jarret Allen is reportedly looking for in this offseason. So if they did re-sign Jarret Allen, their salary cap situation is tight, and that is not even taking into consideration that their third overall pick will be making approximately close to about $5.5 million. So add that on, and they have about $15 million in cap space to spend. So maybe if the Raptors are very lucky, it could be one of those scenarios, much like how we saw with the Sacramento Kings last season, where they let Bogdanovic go to the Atlanta Hawks and they did not match the offer. They did not get anything back. Maybe the Cleveland Cavaliers are not looking for, you know what, any salary back because they're trying to save some cap space. So if the Raptors do get lucky, that could be one scenario in where the Raptors are able to acquire Jarret Allen. Maybe, you know what, they have the Cleveland Cavaliers decide to let him go. It could be a possibility. Another scenario would be if the Raptors did obviously a sign and trade. Now, if they did do a sign and trade, we do need to keep in mind, we don't have to give up a lot in sign and trades. I've said this last few videos too, where Jimmy Butler, when he went to the Miami Heat, a sign and trade got the 76ers only Jason Richardson. So maybe the Raptors throw in someone like a Chris Boucher, maybe future second round pick, or if you need to throw in Aaron Baines or Rodney Hood, there are accept their team options. Throw them in there for salary purposes. You do a sign and trade with Jarret Allen. Now let's talk about how much the Raptors would have to pay Jarret Allen. So in terms of the amount of years and money I think they have to pay Jarret Allen, I think approximately somewhere around the 4-year, $80 million, maybe if a little bit more, a little bit less, $10 million here, $5 million here and there. I think the Raptors are definitely able to do that. Jarret Allen would absolutely accept the deal. It's also to note that he's only 23 years old. So yes, it may be a lot of money for someone who may not be able to stretch the floor, but he is only 23 years old. I think he fits in with our timeline well. He's still going to improve, and we know the Raptors system is tremendous at improving players who have no offense. Example, you know, of course, Pascal, OG, they didn't have their shot. And I'm not saying Jarret Allen is going to be a three-point specialist big man, but maybe they can work on his shooting. And also his free throw shooting isn't the greatest. But you know what? That's okay. The Raptors will work on it. Now let's talk about how the Raptors and Jarret Allen would fit together. Now, we do need to take into consideration Jarret Allen could potentially be that 7-foot center. I know he's listed at 6'11", but he could be that 7-foot center for the Raptors we desperately need. We know his ability to block shots, be that presence in the paint, and they really scares teams off from attacking the paint. We saw last season, and I know we keep going back on Aaron Baines here, but when you don't have rim protection, you see teams just attacking you relentlessly in the paint, and having a big body, someone like Jarret Allen in there with his defense, I think that allows the Raptors to play a little bit man-to-man defense too, but zone defense as well. I think that scares teams from driving into the basket. I think Jarret Allen is a perfect fit in terms of that. Now, when you talk about his offense, that obviously is the big issue here. A lot of people, like I've mentioned, are going to talk about the fact that he can't stretch the floor, so maybe he clogs the paint. But in terms of what Jarret Allen brings to the Raptors, you do have to take into consideration all of his attributes, all of his positive assets he brings to the Raptors, which is the Raptors need a shot blocker. They also need a good defender as well, and he's a 7-foot center, near 7-foot center. He's also got decent size as well. As I mentioned, he's only 23 years old. He's around 243 pounds or so. So if he can add a little bit more muscle, 5-10 pounds of muscles next year or so, I think that works out perfect. He becomes a really big, strong, big man who can potentially defend Joel Embiid one-on-one. We don't need to double, triple team him. So I think Jarret Allen could potentially be that guy who can defend bigger players like that. Obviously, he needs to add a little bit more muscle in. Now, in terms of free throw and shooting, and I know there's going to be this question mark about what happens when teams start doing what the Boston Celtics did, for example, with Marc Gasol. I think that is one of the reasons you also signed other big men as well. So when you have Jarret Allen and you decide, you know what, maybe you can't afford to play him late in the fourth quarter because his free throw percentage isn't the greatest, maybe because he's going to get switched on and maybe quicker guards can just go past him, even though he is a good defender. That is why you have guys like Khem Birch who are smaller in size but more versatile defenders. I think that is why you need to sign someone like Jarret Allen to defend those bigger players, but then also keep your options open in terms of having big men like Khem Birch, Freddie Gillespie if you need to on the bench, and if you need to go with certain matchups. If a team, let's say like in the playoffs, the Boston Celtics start doing what they were doing to Marc Gasol, I think you bring in someone like Khem Birch, who's a versatile defender. He can defend potentially shooting guard, small forwards, depending on the matchups. So that is why you have those two big men to rotate with certain matchups. So I think that works really well with the Raptors. And if you sign another big man as well, I think you can, potentially have a better free throw shooter than Jarret Allen. So if there's that fear of, teams intentionally fouling Jarret Allen late in that fourth quarter, you can always switch up matchups. I think having that option for Nick Nurse, which he did not have last season, of having versatile defenders in terms of what they can bring to the offense and defense as well, I think that works really good for the Raptors. I think that would be a perfect match for the Raptors, and I think Jarret Allen would be the ideal big man if the Raptors are to sign a near 7-foot center or a big man in this year's free agency. I think he would be that perfect fit with the Raptors. But I do want to hear your thoughts. What do you guys think? Do you think Raptors should pursue Jarret Allen? Do you think he's worth $20 million? What would you pay him? Let me know in the comment section. And let me know your predictions. Do you think we should sign Jarret Allen or pursue someone else? Let me know all of that fun stuff. And if you guys are still watching this video, thank you so much for watching. Have a great day.